You are still watching Fifth Avenue, and this is your brother Minister Cag, and this is Art for Jesus right here. Okay, so we had a good time with, Jacob Kondwine with the song Kanchane. What a wonderful video right there. I think there's much talent. We just need to give them platform to show what God has really, put in them. And right about now, I'm joined by, a poetic man. And this is no other than Vincent Cag.
Hello, Minister.
How are you?
I'm good, and how are you?
Looking good.
Thank you. You're looking awesome too.
Great.
Yes.
I always look awesome.
I know.
Where did you come back from? Was it Choma?
I was in Southern Province, Kalomo.
Oh, Kalomo.
Yes, I came back.
Did you learn some? Is it Tonga?
About a few, 1, 2, 3 words. Mwabukabuti. That's in the morning.
Okay.
For the rest, I have no idea. I think the rest I would actually say Mulikabo too. That's why I ended.
Asking for water?
Wow, I didn't even get to those pronunciations.
That's how you ask for water.
Okay.
Okay, so tell me, Vincent, as
Yes.
a poet person, when did you learn that you actually have, this talent in you?
I kind of, most of the times I'd say it was, I would like to use the word mistake, but I can't.
Okay.
Yeah, starting poetry, I was actually forced into this by a friend of mine. He was like, I think you can do poetry.
Okay.
So I refused. I tried, and then he forced me into it. And then as time went on, I actually found myself liking it, loving it, and then choosing all the different types of it until I decided to just do something of my own.
So tell me, in a nutshell, what is poetry?
Poetry.
Because others are wondering, what is poetry?
Yes, I would say to me it's...
Is there like a standard definition for it?
No, there is no standard
There
definition.
should be. You did obviously just do a research. Okay, tell me in your own words.
For me as a poet, I define poetry as my own personal way of speaking out how I feel, things that I hold inside. That's how I started out.
Right.
Yes.
And like, okay, who groomed you in, poetry?
For starters, I would say I started by grooming myself before I received help. That was 2013.
Who identified the potential in you?
A close friend of mine, Thomas. He's the one that's brought me to this world of poetry.
Okay.
Yes. Then I started watching some YouTube videos. I remember the first poet I knew was Sully Breaks from Brit. And then went on to finding people like Preston Perry, Jackie Hill Perry.
My goodness, I'm lost. Yes?
Yes, so from these videos, I decided to say, I think I can do better than this, but first let me learn from them.
Okay.
Yes, so I searched for a few groups in Zambia that do poetry, and I found a group called Nothing But Voices. That was in 2015. I joined that group.
Oh, you found it?
I found the yes, I found yes. So I joined the group, and I found guys that I really didn't think poetry was this thing much happening in Zambia. But when I met these guys, it's a whole different world out there when you go to poetry.
Okay.
Yes.
Now tell me, like you alluded to, poetry is not that much in Zambia compared to these other arts.
Yes.
How do you make money out of poetry?
Wow. Okay. I would say on my part, money is not really the major concern, but from my previous encounters, I would say mainly it's only when you have an event. Okay, you make out ticket sales, and if you're lucky, you have sponsors coming in, but that's rare.
Do you like have people in Zambia that even rush for poetry events?
Yes, we do. There's a very big community out there. Very big. Yes.
To be honest with you, I've never attended one.
I'll be sure to bring you a ticket to the next event.
Okay.
The usual events are around the corner. I would say, like for me, every last Friday of the month, there's an event that we attend. It's called the Poet Spring by Alliance Française. So each and every month, there's a new theme that is given out to poets. You just go there, speak out your heart, speak out your mind, and it's just there.
Do you like have groups in Zambia?
Yes, they're there. I would say the most common that everyone knows is Bittersweet.
Lusaka based?
Yes, it's a Lusaka-based group. Yes, Bittersweet.
On the Copper Belt, do you have like a group? Do you do some sort of competition, or how do you do your events? How do you arrange them?
I haven't heard of anything that I would say that would like combine the whole country as that, but there's a program called Poet Slam.
Okay.
I've seen CBU have it, Unza has it too, but in these other parts of the country, I think it's quite.
So tell me, share with me
Yes.
a scenario or an event, the biggest event of poetry that you ever attended.
I would say that was August 30th. That was a show called Alpha Centauri. It was organized by Nothing But Voices and Poetic Juice.
Okay.
Yes, I
Where
would
was
say
it
that
held?
by Mulungushi Conference Center. I think
Okay.
that's in my whole career as being
Yes.
a poet. That's the biggest stage I've ever been onto.
Do we have like people coming from outside Zambia to do poetry?
Actually, yes, that's amazing.
In the same event, some people came from outside Zambia?
No.
Okay.
Yes, but about I would say a week ago, Ezekiel, that's a poet, and Solomon, they were in Zambia. They had an event. Yes. Necessarily, I don't remember the theme because unfortunately I was unable to attend.
Okay.
Yes, but they had an event and it was really awesome. A lot of people went there. It was spoken about. It was all over social media. But as usual, the only people that would see these things are people that follow poetry. So it's a very small community that is growing. It's being groomed in the country.
Now, tell me, from your own words, you define poetry as a way of expressing, thoughts and feelings that you hold inside of you.
Yes.
But is there also a way that you can speak on what you see from outside?
Yes. It's mainly because for me as a start, I started speaking about how my life is. I use that as a way to minister. But it's not necessarily always has to be about you. Let me say, for example, I can take from my most recent writings. I would say starting July up to date, I haven't been writing things that really are about my life. I've been writing things concerning what I'm seeing in the church.
Okay.
Yes, so I've been doing a series called Dear Church and Dear Diary.
And what about that?
I would say, Dear Church, I spot out most of the things that I think we're doing wrong as Christians in the church.
Okay.
Yes, especially areas of what we should be concerned of as a church. Then Dear Diary is more of a combination of what I feel and how people that are just surrounding me, how my life is.
Okay. Now, tell me, one thing that is really intriguing
Yes.
in the whole thing is the fact that poetry is not that much associated even to Christianity. You know what I mean? In the Zambian circles.
Yes.
Of course, we know when we talk of people like Jacob Kondwani, Kanshane and stuff like
Yes,
that.
yes.
We know preachers, of course. We know. And a few other things, incorporated in drama. I think we are used to them.
Yes.
Looking at the Zambian community. But how are you finding, how are you managing it in this Zambian society as a Christian, in the Christian circles?
I say it's really tough because there are few churches that actually are accepting poetry. Okay, there are times, I remember the first time I did this to a church where they've never actually had someone do poetry. You have people looking at you, you're there talking to
They're
them.
like, wow, and who is this guy? What is he doing?
Yeah, because they do not understand how poetry works. So, but as time is going, I've seen churches change, and it's been like with the group. I mean, we're using poetry as a way to minister and empower positive mindset into the youth.
Into the youths.
Yes.
How are you going about all this campaign of, impacting positive attitudes in the lives of the youths?
All right.
Is there a deliberate program?
No.
So how do you do it?
Depending.
How do you make sure that everyone comes to accept this art?
It starts with the very same small communities that we have, and actually at times we just follow people. You just say, okay, today we're going to go to town. Let's storm town. Let's talk to people. Let's invite people. Let's see what they think about poetry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've actually found people that listen to poetry, but they just can't talk about it because they don't know that there are people that do poetry out there. I would say 40% of my classmates actually do listen to poetry.
Okay.
Yes, but then only if you follow them on a personal perspective and ask them, do you do this? They say, yes, I love poetry, but I just don't know where to find people that do this.
So poetry is all about speaking. You can't do poetry in a song. You can't put instrumentation to read. How do you do it? How do you package it? Probably the problem could be the way we present it, the way we package it.
Possibly yes and no, actually. You can combine poetry with rhythm.
Okay.
Yes, I would say rap is also poetry, as it's called rhythm and poetry.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But in the sense of it being poetry, depends on what type of poetry you do. There are actually over 100 styles of poetry, but the most common that's done is spoken word.
Okay.
And that's the one that seems to be growing, spoken word poetry.
Okay. Now tell me, when you're doing poetry, I know there's a way that you hide a certain meaning in your lines. That creativity, don't you think probably to a large extent makes people difficult to grasp what you're really trying to communicate?
I would say if you treat poetry like school, the more you listen to it, the more your mind opens up. So as a poet,
it's like rapping, huh? Is it rapping or raga? What they call it? There are certain lines.
Yes,
then they say it and then you don't understand anything. But
it's the use of metaphors. Yes, that's what most common that's actually the most common thing amongst poets. The use of metaphors. Yes, we use that to actually incorporate ideas in. I can use a word. I can say simple word. But with it, I incorporate maybe 3 different meanings there. So moment
you choose which one suits you.
Yes. The key, the reason we do that is actually, I'll say in my part, the moment certain words I use, I would say I use them because depending on the audience. Okay. So I want whichever individual listens to that piece gets their own concept, but in the end, the whole poetry piece catches up to one same idea, depending on whatever angle you got it from.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So is there things like freestyle poetry, or you just need to master it?
No, it's freestyle poetry. It's common, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You also do that?
Sometimes.
Okay. So right now, I want you to look in the camera and just do your piece. Before.
I think I will steal some lines from one of my most recent pieces.
No problem.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because I don't even know the first piece.
Okay. So this is from actually a Dear Diary 3. This is like the third, Dear Diary 3. So it's incorporated with Dear Church. So just share a few lines.
Here we go.
Yeah. I feel like you've been ignoring me most recently. So I decided to put this out in public. I wrote a letter to you and put in a diamond letter and gave it to you. So I hope you get this one while it's in a queue. So don't forget to read it. I feel like the old generation thinks we're bringing a new Jesus. Like one that can rap, dance, and is probably a poet like me. I remember visiting a church where they said, if you don't speak in tongues, you haven't met Christ yet. Like, you're not serious with your life. The old church thinks the new generation is a disgrace to God's existence, but truth is, we're taking this on the wrong concept. See, oh my God.
Oh, yes. You've tried anyway. It was just a sample. Okay, great.
Incorporating freestyle with written poetry.
Oh, yeah, I see. But nevertheless, it's been a good job. Okay, I think for now, we had, let me say we have Presley from the Copper Belt, who actually sent through his piece. This is hot. Okay. What is the title? Okay, you get it there. And then thereafter, we're going to listen to a powerful song, of course, from Frank Edwards, entitled Miracle God. We'll be right back.
Beauty. Beauty. What is beauty? Beauty is a 6-letter word, but that doesn't help us define it, does it? Some say beauty is the sun at every dawn as it rises above the ocean and gives us light. Some say beauty is the precious life and sweet innocence of a little child. Others say beauty is the face of an attractive woman as it lights up from frowning to smiling. And others say beauty is little things like puppies and babies, little things that make you go like, oh, that's so cute. Or better yet, the English dictionary says beauty is a quality that gives pleasure to your mind or your senses. You see, I've been thinking about beauty for a while, and at the end of my thinking process, I came up with my own personal definition and description of beauty, because I came across things that made me say, that's beautiful. So please Listen. Beauty is the God who in the beginning created all things, and by all things I mean all things, seen and unseen. On the sixth day of creation he created man. Yes, by man I mean you and I. Man so special and unique, the only species created in God's image. Everything was perfect, and the Creator's intent was to have an eternal bond with his creation until something went wrong. Man's heart was stolen away from God through deception and was led away by lust into sin, death, condemnation, guilt, shame, and separation from a good and perfect God and Creator. Man's heart and nature became so dark and corrupted that man couldn't be or act like God no matter how hard we tried or what we did. It's very obvious that a perfect and righteous God would have a perfect standard and perfect system of redemption. So it means for us to be fully and perfectly redeemed, we have to find somebody perfect that perfectly meets God's standard and is willing to trade their perfection and righteousness for our sin, death, condemnation, shame, and judgment. Now this is just the first part of my definition of beauty, so please pay attention, because the next part of my definition of beauty is what makes it special. Beauty is God stepping down to earth as Jesus Christ and obeying his own law to the fullest. Beauty is the Savior who willingly takes my place on the cross by taking my past, present, and future sins and taking up God's wrath, which beat and punished my sin in him. And when it was done, he said, "It is finished," because that meant that the payment for my sin that separated.
If you're still watching Faith Avenue right here, and this is your brother Minister Cag, we are on Art for Jesus segment. Beautiful. What a powerful, piece right there by Presley, all the way from Kopala Swag, represented right here. And what a beautiful song once again by Mr. Frank Edwards, all the way from Nigeria, with a song entitled Miracle God. I like the video. It's so simple, but with a lot of creativity. Beautiful. I'm still with Vincent. We just want to take you a little bit back as we evaluate, assess, and analyze the last 2 episodes that we had for Art for Jesus. You were one of the presenters that time.
Yes, I actually did the last episode.
So tell me, how was your experience, co-presenting with Mr. Cag?
That was a really overwhelming experience. I learned a lot actually from that one, yes.
What did you learn in particular? I want you to speak with an open mind.
I would say for that, it being my first time co-presenting on national television, I learned it's not as easy as it looks. That was one thing I learned. There's actually a lot of work.
Okay, you spoke in tongues.
Yes, there's actually a lot of work involved in production of most of these things, and most of I would say God is really helping in these things. But one thing I learned is with determination, hard work, and prayer, everything was pushed through.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now I want us to look at, I know you've been in the background helping Art for Jesus, but in particular, because it takes a lot of muscles, a lot of people putting their heads together in organizing this.
Very true.
Tell me, what sort of process do you go through for you to put up these events?
The first is always you just don't start. You need people to come in. So even you as a viewer who's watching this, the key is that we need you for us to do this. Okay, we need you to be part of this. When we started, we identify talent at first. Okay, you necessarily don't have to be an actor or just a singer. Any type of God-given talent is needed. I remember the first episode we had drama and sign dance. Those were the 2 main acts we had. Then later we went on. I remember us looking for people that could dribble football.
Oh yeah,
Yes, there's a lot of work that goes on in the background.
We even went as far as intending to have the bicycle riders. What do you call them?
I think I would use the term freestyle riders.
Yes.
Yes.
Even gymnastics.
Yes. So the key in the background is always first we identify talent before we bring it to the screens. We talk to these people, and we let them know the main emphasis we're doing this for is ministry. We're praising God using our talent. Okay. Yes.
So tell me, people could be wondering, how do they get to us?
Well, for starters, you can find us actually on Facebook. Just search for Faith Avenue with Minister Cag. Like the page, Inbox us and let's get chatting. And you, in case you want to watch any of the previous episodes, you can search for Minister Cage on YouTube. You will see the Art for Jesus videos out there.
All right. So what sort of arts do we look for?
I would
Any limitation?
there are no limits. We are not specific. When God is blessing someone, He doesn't say, "I'm only blessing you to be limited with this."
Okay.
God gave us unlimited talent. So
it
any
could
type
be
of
singers.
talent, yes.
Like Jacob.
Yeah.
It could be singers.
Most preferably, yes.
It could be rappers as well. There's I remember one group from Up. They wanted to do what is it? What?
Oh, a cipher. Yes.
Cipher. Yes, that's the term.
Yes, that was a group. They wanted to come.
So you
and do
can
cipher.
also cipher, in words. It could be, in verses, scripture, and all,
Anything.
Anything.
Yes,
Yeah.
anything that we can use to give glory to God's name is welcome.
Even dance. It could be rumba dance. It could be reggae, skanking and all those things.
Yes, all talents are welcome. So remember, just find us on Facebook, inbox us. We'll get to you and give you the details on how to be with us.
All right. Now, I want us to look at, love redefined.
Oh, yes.
Were you part of that group?
I was in the
that
background. Yes, I was part of
What-
the editing and writing team.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So tell me, because the director will show it,
Yes.
just a snippet of it. What was the concept in there?
And
Love redefined.
Love redefined, even coming from the word itself, redefining love. And there's only one person that did that. That was Jesus dying on the cross. He redefined the way we know love. So
Okay, usually what we know is it's a give and take, as in love.
yes, with Jesus, he
But
just
with
gives.
him, he
doesn't
gave
take.
with no condition.
Yes, he
Okay.
just gave without taking. So that story was mainly talking about forgiveness. So when you watch it, the way this was done, you can say it's drama with metaphors in it, but not
Okay.
actual words, but acting metaphors.
Okay.
Yes, because the meaning that that story carried was forgiveness is always there. God is always ready to forgive. If you open up your heart and just surrender to Him, God is always able to forgive, regardless of what you've done. I'm not sure which part, but if you can watch the video, you will find where one of our brothers tries to kill the sister and the fiance.
And the mother, actually.
Yeah, and then God places a miracle there, and a woman who was unable to talk for years just so happens to talk. Okay, so in these terms, we're showing that God works. God is there. All you have to do is just be available for Him. Give Him your ears, your eyes, and just your heart, and listen out.
Another captivating part
Yes.
was when the little girls could recite scriptures and preaching.
That was amazing. I really was praying to see that. That's something that the church has to see. Children being groomed. Because if we can train them at that age to stand up and speak out, preach, I can imagine how they'll be when they grow up. We're looking at the next Joyce Myers, the next Prince Joseph, being trained while they're still
The
at a
next
tender
Mr.
age.
Cage.
Amen.
All right. So whatever talent you have, we have our doors open. You can just come through. Tell us, do you have kids that are so good with memory verses? Even preaching for 10 minutes or even, 5 minutes, they're all welcome. Do you have a song, that you've done? Probably, because in most cases, you may have one video, but then you're not having much, interviews, but then we can give you that platform, like right here. Do you have a group that does some drama, some sign dance?
Yes.
Wow, sign dance, it seems, pretty new in Zambia.
It is pretty new and available. I've only seen a few people doing it and at a few churches, but just like poetry, it's a growing art. And even from the 2 episodes that we had, sign dance was a real blessing.
Wow.
Okay, I would
Ego
say
dancers were just awesome.
Those guys were really awesome. They had an amazing choreographer.
Tell me,
Yes.
have you had time to sit with the people that really like the choreographers of sign dancers and stuff like that? What sort of process do they undergo? Because I imagine listening to a song, then begin to marry it with signs and stuff like that.
Yes, I didn't, with the first choreographer, I didn't spend much time with her, but with the second one, yes, I did. From the first episode they did, actually what I learned is there are videos that are available on net whereby you can watch how to, how say,
No,
you can
but-
say
but-
mimic
but
a
check.
certain word.
But the thing is this, because I remember they've been dancing to Ephraim's song.
Yes.
And for me, I feel like they're the first ones to dance it. To
Yes.
sign dance it.
Yeah, the key is actually translating the English word into the actual Bemba word with the
So-
very
so-
same sign.
So you need to have somebody who understands sign language.
Yes, most definitely you need that. Otherwise, you'd end up doing the wrong things. And I can't imagine.
Because those signs, my goodness.
It's really impressive.
Eh?
Because even just because when you get someone that does sign language, when you see them use mimicking, doing the thing, it's actually different when you're watching someone like sign dance, because they expand what that person does, and they do it in a much more wider view, and I feel it's also great to this state whereby at least something for someone that can't speak out, they can say, okay, that word means that means that. Yes.
All right. Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, it has been a wonderful
tell
journey.
Me, in the next Arts for Jesus, what are we looking? What are we probably anticipating to have?
I would say we're about to blow people's minds.
So just invite people probably.
Yes. So as I said, just get through to us on Facebook if you want to be part of us, and make sure do not miss. Join us every Saturday and Sunday for Faith Avenue, and fortunately for you, it's not a one-time thing. Okay, Arts for Jesus takes place once every month, so you'll be seeing us on your screen once every month. So we'll be preparing for the other 3 weeks, and then we come to your screens in the last week of the month. We're about to blow your minds. So you can search for us on Facebook again, as I said, Faith Avenue with Minister Cag. Like the page. Remember to like the page and share. You can also like QTV Zambia page too. So like the page and share, inbox us, and let's get chatting. On YouTube, you can search for Minister Cag. Let's get interactive.